15 August 2020, and today I want to give you an update on Gambakwe Media, how we've been doing under the lockdown. And this is very important because the lockdown has been very, very difficult for many companies. In fact, when the lockdown started, our traffic plunged at Gambakwe Media. We were so shocked because the number of people who were coming to our websites reduced by almost 90%. That is our websites, our YouTube channel, even our Facebook page. It almost looked like we were going to go down to a point where the business was not going to be sustainable. However, I'm happy to say during the lockdown, we've implemented a number of strategies and things are starting to look up. In fact, the Gambakwe Media revenues have increased by 5 times since the beginning of the lockdown, which is very, very important and key because it shows that the media business is changing, and Gambakwe Media is a media business. In Zimbabwe, there is often a temptation to become an activist instead of becoming a media house. So I've seen some companies in Zimbabwe that run media, online media, becoming part of the activism and losing track or losing objectives. They start losing the understanding of what the purpose of a media house is, especially in a country like Zimbabwe where there's a lot of polarization. And what I think is sustainable as a media house is a company that is going to produce news, either positive or negative, from both sides. And this is very difficult, especially for audience to understand. For example, if you produce a negative story about their favorite politician, they say, why are you producing a negative story about such and such a person? Don't you want change? Or why are you producing a negative story about our country? Don't you want our country to do well? So there's often that pressure to say, please toe this line or pursue this agenda because this is what you're supposed to do as a Zimbabwean. But the thing is, a real media house produces news that is correct, that is accurate, that is timely, and that is relevant and exciting. So I think we've done that. We've produced interesting news during this lockdown. We've dealt with the issues and we've created our own brand identity. And I'm very happy about how we've been going, which is why I say our revenue has increased by 5 times. In fact, Gambakwe Media is reaching no less than 4 million people a month. That is amazing because we're a very, very small operation, and to reach that huge number of people all over the world is amazing. So I said the revenue is going up by 5 times. Now let's look at traffic. Traffic is a very big problem, especially the traffic that I want is probably not the traffic that we're getting. So our Zimbabwe traffic, unfortunately, has plunged by 95%. People just don't have money to buy data. So we are struggling with our Zimbabwe traffic. At one point, when we're at the peak, similar time last year, we're getting almost 2 million visitors a month from Zimbabwe. Now, that number has reduced by almost 90%. So from 2 million to under 100,000 people visiting our websites. So I'm talking about websites here. Our YouTube, our Facebook is fine. This is because people can buy bundles. But for them to now go to a website to read the website, it's very difficult for them. And this, I'm sure, has been a problem for many people who run websites in Zimbabwe. It's difficult for people to buy a bundle for Facebook, for YouTube, the internet, and WhatsApp. So it's a very big problem. However, we have managed to increase traffic from other countries. So UK, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, our traffic there has increased. So in fact, what has happened is, in terms of quality of audience and in terms of monetization, it has been better than if we just said our Zimbabwe traffic. But because we want to focus and to make an impact in Zimbabwe, it's very painful for us if our Zimbabwe traffic is very, very low. Then if I look at our delivery channels, obviously, as I said, we closed MaputoUpdates.com, we closed HarareUpdates.com this past month, and now we're focusing on Gambakwe Media and our other channels which are outside of Zimbabwe. And so you see that although I spend a lot of time on Gambakwe Media, that is not where our revenue is coming from. And it's almost a 95% work for 5% revenue. So the amount of time I spend, the amount of trouble that I go through from the Gambakwe and the Zimbabwe traffic is almost 95% of the trouble that I get, but 5% of the revenue. Sometimes I think, do I really need to be doing Zimbabwe work at all? In fact, I've had these thoughts that maybe I should just shut down our Zimbabwe business and focus on our other traffic from other countries or other delivery channels. But I always come back to say, Zimbabwe is very, very important to me. I feel like I need to make a change in our own country. That's why I keep doing the Zimbabwe work, although it is not giving us the revenue that we want to do or that we want to get. And then in terms of staff, in the past year, when we started back in 2019, when we started really being serious about our websites, we had almost 20 people working at Gambakwe Media. We had interns, contractors, we had artists, and we also had full-time employees. So there was over 20 people working at Gambakwe Media. We produced a lot of our own content, and at that point, things were doing very well, and we then pushed until December, January, February, and coming into the lockdown, there's been a lot of changes. So from about 20 employees, Gambakwe Media is now down to less than 10 employees, and we're going to push that number down even further because we need to keep control over our costs. And also, things have just changed. It's difficult to employ so many people, and it's difficult to pay people because the business is up and down. You never know what is going to happen next month. You never know what is going to happen around the corner. As we move through this lockdown, everyone is learning. And this is one of the biggest changes that we've had to make. We no longer have artists who come to us to do interviews and to pay them. We no longer have interns. And in fact, going into 2021, I'm not sure if we're going to get any attachment students because things have just changed. And we need to make sure that our business can sustain itself and can withstand any unforeseen circumstances that can come around. And then I want to look at the strategy going forward. As I said, I find myself thinking, should I do Zimbabwe? Should I do not? But, in the long term, I want to have a head office in Zimbabwe. I want to be able to run my business from Zimbabwe. But at the moment, it's just not possible. Given the current circumstances, I'm not sure about my safety if I'm in Zimbabwe. I don't want to spend months and months in jail for running a media house. And this is just something that I am thinking about. Should I move to Zimbabwe or should I continue to run my company from outside Zimbabwe and run it about Zimbabwe, but from outside Zimbabwe? So it's a big problem. There's no clarity about the freedom of a media house in Zimbabwe. I think the guys who are in information ministry, they need to come out and say, are we safe to operate in Zimbabwe? And are we not going to end up being jailed for running our businesses? Because if you look at the situation happening with Hope Chingono, that is strange to everyone who is watching. Why someone is being kept in jail for so long for running a media house. So I just don't want to be part of it. And this is important because you need people like myself to speak well about Zimbabwe. And if you want that to happen, you also have to make sure that the conditions there on the ground allow us to speak truthfully about the situation in Zimbabwe. And if someone asks us a question about Zimbabwe, we can, with a straight face, say that things are okay. But if someone is in jail for 3 weeks, they are being denied bail, there's just no clarity about what is happening there, it is difficult for us to support our country and to speak well about the government. So we'll be forced to stay outside the country, and we'll be forced to also speak against our own country, which is really sad. So this is something that I've been thinking about. Should I think about Zimbabwe? Should I think about making long-term plans elsewhere? And I think so far, I've decided that I'll be making my long-term plans elsewhere. Now, I want to go to our brand identity. Gambakwe Media has managed to talk to everyone. If you look over the past 4 or so months, we've talked to people on the Coupe side, MDC-T, MDC Alliance. We've talked to people on other smaller political parties that you don't even know. We've talked to people like Mr. Albert Matapo. We've talked to a lot of guests in terms of interviews. However, what is exciting to me is what we've been able to do with content produced by other Zimbabweans. We've been able to drive traffic to other YouTube channels. There is no YouTube channel in Zimbabwe that we do not drive traffic to. We link their content. And people that would otherwise not have been seen or heard, we put them on our own platforms and we expose other people's traffic to other audiences. So we approximately have 60,000 people on our Facebook page. We have about 15,000 people on our new YouTube channel. On our website alone, as I said, we've got approximately 4 million people on our channels. And using that platform that we have, that following that we have, we've been able to expose traffic. For example, if someone makes a YouTube channel and they are known, we've been able to link them up so that people can watch that content. We've also linked people that are doing other things. We have also managed to bring attention to important stories in our country in a way that is impartial, in a way that is balanced. And I think that is an important approach. There's people that say, I'll never talk to a media house that does not support us. Especially I've seen this from the MDC Alliance guys. They tend to feel like we have to support them all the time. Unfortunately, that's not how things work. We will support them when it's important for us to support them, and we'll criticize them when it's important for us to criticize them. So you find that some people will say, why are you giving Pugeni and MDCT a platform? We are supposed to be supporting Chamisa. Or why are you criticizing Chamisa, and why are you saying this about Mnangagwa? So we get a lot of that. But we have to balance. Because in the long term, if we're going to be a sustainable media house, we have to be truthful. And people have to trust the content that we produce. So if you produce content that is consistently truthful, in the short term, it might be a disadvantage. I could right now be more popular if I just supported the most popular person in Zimbabwe. If I just supported Chamisa every day, I could have more and more people following us. But if we are truthful the way we are right now, I'm sure that things will continue to improve. You know, the situation as time goes on in the long term will benefit more from being truthful than from being partisan. And this is where we're going with this. And also, I want to quickly close by saying we're obviously going to be diversifying. There are opportunities from having such a large following. For example, we're going to go into e-commerce. We're also going to be going into other partnerships. So it's been very exciting, and I would like to cut it short here because I have seen that I have passed my WhatsApp minutes. So obviously that audience, that's an audience that I had not talked about. We have a huge WhatsApp audience. It's a big thing for us to have all these people on WhatsApp getting our content on a daily basis. And I want us to grow that because that is where the future is. So I'm happy to say this is our report for July, August. Gambakwe Media doing very, very well and making an impact in Zimbabwe, although our traffic has gone down. Thank you very much for watching. If you're watching this on WhatsApp, send it to as many people as possible. If you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook, please like, comment, and share.